Hey, buckle up. Are you holding on? All right. From the home of the hot rod, Tacoma, Washington, it's time to go cruising northwest. Brought to you in part by Walker Chevrolet, the home of the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet for 1988. See it at Walker Chevrolet, 633 Division Avenue on the Park in Tacoma.
All right, welcome to another edition of Cruising Northwest, and we're here today at the Oldtimers Hot Rod and Custom Car Show at the new, beautiful Kitsap Pavilion in beautiful downtown Silverdale. Is Silverdale the correct?
Right, we're actually in East Silverdale.
A lot of people ask me where Silverdale is. Silverdale is getting quite a name from this. I get people from all over asking me where we should get a kickback maybe from the Silverdale Chamber of Commerce.
That's right.
We're here today with Ron Perkowitz and Mr. Bill Huntington. Thank you.
I know you need help.
Yes, we need a lot of help, Bill. And Bill is the manager of this beautiful new facility here. This is really a step up for the Oldtimers. But really, we had some complaints. There's no running water on the floor. The roof does not leak. And wouldn't you know, the first time in years it hasn't rained. Yeah, and indoor plumbing.
Yeah, indoor plumbing. You know, bathrooms are inside.
Really a nice step up for the Oldtimers. This is a really nice show. Ron, how many cars are here in attendance?
Well, in the 35,000 square feet of building, we have 115 cars, Dick. That's about half a dozen more than last year.
And I should say that, unfortunately, some cars were turned away just because of overcrowding. Nothing intentional or anything, but a lot of times you deliberately well overbook an event like this, assuming that some people won't show up. And for some reason, I think virtually everybody showed up. And boy, first time event in a building like this, there's a little bit of adjustment that has to go on before we really realize how many cars would fit in a building like this. Our initial guess was 108 to 111 cars. Ron just told us that we got 115 in the building, a minor miracle. I know there's 4 cars out on the veranda. Yep. Whose cars are outside? The State Patrol car and what else?
KVI, and of course yours truly. And then we have Don Griffin has his pickup out there.
Right, and Ron put his car out there out of self-defense because it wouldn't be fair if Ron turned people's cars away from the show and put his own car in the show. There would be a lynching.
Yep.
So our apologies to anybody that didn't get their car in the show. We really are remiss about that, but next year we'll know a little more about how much the building will hold.
We'll just add more space.
Yeah, I kind of thought maybe a forklift would do. We'd get up here on the balcony and stack them on end, huh?
Yeah, we can get more up here. That's Ron wants to do that.
Well, they already have underway. They just awarded bids for another 20,000 square foot building right next door.
Uh-oh, this is going to be big trouble, big time. The Oldtimers might have to expand their car show. Well, I think that the building is very well laid out. We have some very nice cars here today. We're going to be talking with Mindy Fry and looking at her race car a little later. Gene Berglund is here, and his wife Betty from, where are they from? Montana, isn't it? Great Falls, Montana.
How do you like the lighting in here on these cars?
I like it. It's a pure white light. I've never cared for neon lighting that much in a car show because it makes all the red cars look brown and does a lot of funny things. But I like the lighting in here. It's nice and bright. You can see everything. Our viewers are going to see that when we come back. But we're going to go out and take a look around the show and hopefully be able to interview some people. We're going to find some people. I know Herm Peterson's here somewhere. We're going to nail him, find out a little bit about his car that's going to the Don Garlis Museum in Florida. This is a real nice thing for the Oldtimers to do.
Yeah, Herm's got his suitcase and his lunchbox all packed, and as soon as the car comes out of the show, it's in the trailer and gone.
Yeah. Virtually Sunday night, the car's leaving straight for Don Garlis Museum. And we're going to do some good things here. Thank you, Ron.
Okay, thanks, Dick.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Can you imagine what's going through the mind of these young boys when they're looking at these hot rods? Let's hope they're inspired to build a car of their own someday. This is where the new blood's coming from, don't forget. You see a lot of people of all ages at these car shows. And our viewer car this week is owned by a fellow that's almost 59 years old. Mr. John Beckerton. This is a 32 Ford two-door sedan running a Ford Flathead V8. It's got new upholstery and glass fenders. He's had this car for over 30 years, folks.
Each department in 1987 contributed to our great success at Walker Chevrolet. Now we need to go into 1988 with a more aggressive and positive way.
88's looking real good. We put a lot of miles on the courtesy van, 87, and we're going to put a lot more on it for 88.
I'm really pleased with our personnel. I think that's the most important part of our store. That is the big asset of our dealership, the people we have working there.
Walker Chevrolet, inconveniently located at 633 Division Avenue, Tacoma, but well worth finding.
Adventure training in the Army National Guard.
Okay, we have a special treat for you today. I know it's a treat for me. One of my favorite people, Mr. Herm Peterson, with his famous streamlined dragster. How you doing today, Herm?
Oh, just fine.
But it must be quite an honor to have this car selected as an inductee into the Don Garlits Drag Racing Museum in Florida. You want to tell us a little bit about how you found this car again? And everybody knows, I assume, that this was your old race car and that this was the most successful streamliner of, is that a qualified statement? It's the most successful streamliner I know of.
Yes, it was the most successful streamliner from 74 to 86 until Garlits come along with his new streamliner. However, that doesn't carry a whole lot of weight because this car has never won a race. It has 19 runs on it. The car didn't qualify at the Winter Nationals in 74.
But that was actually a technicality. They narrowed the field and the car just got bumped. But this car actually worked. This car handled. It went straight as an arrow. This car hooked up and worked. Probably the only one that ever did.
This is true.
Previous to Garlits.
Yes, there was. The other ones that they had tried had handling problems. This car handled perfect. It did all the right things. It was actually the 24th quickest at the Winter Nationals out of 55 cars that were there. But the field was cut to 16. We went to Gainesville, Florida. It qualified for the Gator Nationals, but lost the first round. The only problem being, this car ran 6.32 seconds at 224 miles an hour. The problem was that all of this aluminum body that we have here weighs something, even though it's aluminum, and it was 200 pounds too heavy, and the aerodynamics don't mean much on the starting line when you're standing still. So we still had to propel all this weight to get up to the top end. The top end had handled great, did all the right things. The aerodynamic caused a ground effect action. It worked great.
This car had something really unusual. It had rack and pinion steering in it. Most of the funny car drivers now like that sloppy, real loose set steering so that you have time to recover. Speaking of recovering, you recovered this car in a barn, hanging upside down 12 feet off the ground in eastern Washington. What a stroke of luck. Don Garlits approached you about this car, and then you actually had to go out and find the car, didn't you?
Yes, Don requested to me that I try to find his car for his museum, and so I traced down the fellow that bought it from me. His name was Jim Grove, and I found the car after about a 3-week search. I found him, and he told me the car, in fact, was in Ephrata. He had it, and it was in a barn hanging upside down from the rafters, had Mount St. Helens ash on it. We bought it back a 1.5 years ago, and we've been working on it all this time. We got a lot of money in it, and it's going to be in its rightful place. It's nice that we could get it back, and it's in such good condition, and solely due to the fact that it never ran since I drove it last.
But it's nice that it will be preserved. It'll be preserved forever, virtually forever, in the Don Garlits Drag Racing Museum. And one of the things that impresses me about the car is Some areas of the car have been repainted. A lot of the chassis was scarred up and has been repainted, but the actual body, the anodizing and everything, most of the lettering, a lot of the decals are all actually original. This car is pretty much unrestored in that aspect. This is a correct thing. Yes. And we really want to thank you for being here with us today. This is amazing to see a car that's in original condition as this car is. Thank you, Herman.
You bet. Thank you.
The car you're seeing on the screen belonged to Don Adell from the Duke's Car Club of Spokane. It was called the So Tough Toy. Appeared in a lot of Northwest car shows. Very famous car from Spokane.
Knows what evil lurks in the shadows of the Northwest. Tim Anderson does in Anderson's Alley.
This week I'd like to show you scenes from the Bremerton Ultra Cruise. We talked with the driver at Destroyer 1.
Well, what I've done is, this is the latest of my monster truck craze. A lot of people might have heard of my first truck, the Monster Mash. It's been out for a few years now, touring the Northwest, and we've competed in a lot of events with that truck. This here is the world's only monster semi at this time. It's Destroyer 1. It's a 1969 white Freightliner, standing over 15 feet tall, weighing over 16,000 pounds, powered by a 500 horse big block Chevrolet. Should we do it? You bet. All right, let's go. Listen to that power. There he goes. And over the top. Oh, Lord. Can you believe the power? Beautiful day in Bremerton. It's little overcast skies. We love it here. We can see him just mashing the top of this baby. I think that speaks for itself, folks. Up and over the top, the only white Freightliner semi to crawl over top of two cars. Don't you love it? They go up and over the top. Nothing left of the tires, mashed all the way down. Tilting up. Don't you love it? And now let's hear it for him.
Hi, I'm Robbie Knievel. Stay tuned next week on Cruzin Northwest. I'm going to go for my own no-handed record.
And that's what's happening here in Anderson's Alley. Woo!
Hi, this is Dick Page. We're down here with the mayor of Tacoma, Doug Sutherland, who has a message for all our viewers out there.
Hey, my friend, if you're not cruising, you're losing, particularly here in the Northwest.
I love it.
All right.
Thank you. One thing about the Oldtimers show, they do try to have something for everybody. There was late model cars here, early model cars, custom cars, and a couple of cars that were just finished the night before the show, like Luke Lucas's 36 there. This car's just recently been redone. This is Jim and Pat Hart's 50 Merc. This is what we call a lead sled, folks. A custom car. French headlights, louvered hood, chop top, dummy Appleton spotlights. A really nice rig. And Denny Olson up in Enumclaw just finished this one for Luke Lucas, one of the members of the Oldtimers. In fact, Denny's in the club too. This car was finished literally Thursday, the day of the show. Move-in night. They were still rubbing this out and bolting it together. A lot of midnight oil. In fact, they refer to it as 4 o'clock in the morning oil. Walt Kaplan goes to a lot of events. You go to a lot of rod runs and things. You hear that neat old-time rock and roll music. Well, this is the man that plays it. This is his car. This is a 40 Merc Coupe. Now, Walt's building a full custom 40 Merc Coupe right now. They've just chopped the top on his other car, and they're going to build a car that's kind of like Nick Matranga's old car for you collectors of automotive memorabilia. The car that you're seeing here is Mr. Ed Wilson's cream and brown 29 Chevy Coupe. Speaking of Chevys, Chaz Martin was there with his goldenrod. Brand new RB front suspension in here. They put one of the bolt-in RB kits in here with the Mustang 2 and Pinto type front suspension. And KVI was there, and they broadcasted live from the event. I don't know if you heard it on the radio. I know I did. And we really appreciate all the support that KVI gives to these car events. Here's a guy that just can't get enough. John Bickerston Jr. This is his yellow 32 Ford. And this is the car that we featured on the bump a little earlier in the show. Some guys really hog it. Bill Buxton's 34 Chev sedan. Well, that might be a 35. I'm not a Chevy expert, but I know Bill Buxton has a good time with Northwest Vintage 10. If you saw the license plate on Lyle Davis's 58 Impala, it says, I'm a 58. We're not talking about the year of the car, folks. This is number 58 in his collection, I think. We had quite a collection in the parking lot. In fact, when we shot these pictures, there were only two, count them, two empty parking spots in the whole lot. The Oldtimers had a very successful show this year. It was a little scary being in a new building with the higher rent and everything, but it worked out good for everybody. Here we have police officer Don Griffiths, yellow 49 Chevy pickup. He's a state patrolman. His truck's got custom taillights, roll pans, and Model A bumpers on it, front and back. Little identity crisis there. He's got Ford Model A bumpers on his Chevy pickup. He's also got a special tilt front end on it. The front end on this actually raises and lowers hydraulically. Very nice rig. And incidentally, in the near future, we're going to have a special show about police officers that own street rods. Speaking of street rods, Dennis Daly's 39 Chevy sedan. I'm sure Dennis is thankful to have this car out of my garage and on the road. We're going to do a little bit of how to do it stuff on Dennis's car. We're going to do a little bit of touch-up in a few places on it, and we'll take the cameras over there and show how to spot lacquer in. One of the cars that George Tyler and I used to compete against in the 60s was Dave Johnston's chopped, channeled, and Section 53 Chevy from Spokane. This was a beautiful car from the Northwest. Very famous car from Spokane. Now being completely redone.
Get set and ready for cruising to the Western Washington Rod and Custom Show Saturday and Sunday, October 29th and 30th at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. You'll see Ken McCandless's 1941 Willys Supercharged Coupe, the fastest A-gas street-legal rod in the Northwest, and meet Ken himself. You'll see Paul Lewis's 1936 Cord Classic, the only Cord street rod in the United States. You'll hear great music with Walt Kaplan, the Spin-It DJ. Saturday, October 29th and Sunday, October 30th at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. They're taking them to the streets for the Western Washington Rod and Custom Show, sponsored in part by RV's Obsolete Automotive, your one-stop street rod parts center in Snohomish. And by Big Wheel Auto Parts. Visit one of Big Wheel's 15 Puget Sound locations. The Western Washington Rod and Custom Show, Saturday and Sunday, October 29th and 30th. Admission $5 adults, $4 senior citizens and military, kids under 12 free with an adult. We'll see you cruising at the show. Here.
Traditionally, the same weekend as the Oldtimers show, we have the Portland Roadster show. And this, folks, is the Portland Roadster show the way it looked in 1956. This is the way it looked in 1966, 10 years later. A beautiful display, as usual. Multnomah Hot Rod Council puts on a fine show down there, including this old picture of Ron Hing's 56 Chevy convertible. Some Chrysler taillights in there, a really nice candy apple green paint job. And speaking of nice work, Russ Meeks built this car for John Corno about, I'm going to guess here, 1972. In fact, this car won the 1972 America's Most Beautiful Roadster Award at the Oakland Roadster Show. And in case you can't tell, this is a front-wheel drive Toronado drivetrain inside the trunk of a Model A Roadster. Very unusual. Russ Meeks, one of the Portland area's finest fabricators. Today we have the pleasure of talking with Miss Mindy Fry from California, and she's here at the Oldtimers Car Show, and she's brought her 27T Roadster, the world's fastest street rod. I believe we're still calling it.
We're calling it the world's quickest, Dick.
The world's quickest street rod. And Mindy is known as the world's fastest teenager, and she has a new alcohol dragster now. This is your father's car, is it?
It is my car. My father and I built it at our shop.
Sorry, Dad.
It's okay, he won't get upset.
And you're very successful with this car. I don't know how long you've been running it, but even up here in the Northwest, we heard stories about this 6-second alcohol car that set a track record. How new is the car? How many times have you run it, and what was the time?
Okay, we have 4 full passes on the car at this moment. And the second full pass on the car, we ran 6.15 seconds, 219.54 miles per hour in the quarter mile. That is, in fact, the quickest pass in history for a top alcohol dragster.
And it's not an NHRA title because, as I understand it, it wasn't an NHRA sanctioned event where this happened, but it is a track record and most certainly a personal record for you. quite a credit to you and your car building abilities.
Well, actually, we went out to the event just hoping to qualify, and qualifying number 1 in, history was so exciting for us. We're very happy. We know that you have to run that many times before, you have to be consistent with that, but it's a pretty good starting point.
Now, to make a backup and to make this a record, you'll have to run this at another event and then back it up with another run that's within 1%. Is that correct?
1% of your run, correct. And then it'll become a new national record.
All right, it's nice to see some things never change. There are a lot of changes going on. You're running a International Hot Rod Association. I don't think you run NHRA, do you?
Okay, I run this car at Nostalgia Drag Racing Association events, and it does not run NHRA events, no. This car was built for NDRA, and will compete in 2 events this year, the one at Seattle International Raceway and the one at Fremont in California.
Great, that was going to be the next thing I was going to ask you, when we could see the car in action again. Did you want to thank some of the people here? I think I heard you say that you wanted to mention some people, and I don't know who you're going to mention, but go for it.
I would like to thank West Bay Auto Parts for making it possible for me to be here, and also for the Oldtimers Northwest for putting the show on, and for Tom Boswell for allowing us to take his car one more time.
That's right. We can't forget Tom. Tom actually owns the car. Now, for those of the viewers that don't know, you did the aluminum work on this car, as I remember. You did a lot of the sheet metal work. You do the between rounds tuning, correct me if I'm wrong. You do the suspension tuning, the engine tuning. You built one of the motors that was in the car. I don't know if it was this one.
I built this motor, and I did the sheet metal work. My dad did all the chassis work, and he does all the suspension tuning. We do share the work in the engine between rounds. I do a lot of the maintenance as far as check the valves and adjust, check the injector nozzles and all that. And he does a lot of the tuning too.
Very impressive. Thank you, Mindy, and thank you. We'll be right back after this. And one of our viewer cars is Mr. Tony Lambert's beautiful black 64 Impala with a tunnel ram and a Mr. Gasket hood scoop. Tony works up at Lincoln Auto Parts right here in Tacoma. Way to go, Tony.
In racing, safety belts aren't just a law. They're a way of life. I know, because I wouldn't be here today without one.
A rear-end collision at over 240 miles an hour.
And that goes for my street car, too. I've always worn a safety belt, long before it was ever a law. So whether safety belts are the law in your state or not, make it your own law and live by it. Hi, I'm Dick Webster. We want you all to be champions.
Your car club needs that champion look. Quality athletic wear in jackets, t-shirts, and hats. Custom styled, silk screened, or computer embroidered to fit your needs. With the full champion guarantee. The champion selection of trophies, plaques, and pins is second to none. For the complete line of quality supplies, you know the name.
Champions!
Now meet the team. Watch for the old jock, the 40 Ford sedan. Meet Dick Webster and get the champion look.
Come here. I got something here that's gonna finish you off good.
Hey, we've all seen them. The cars with everything except that finishing touch. The job's not done until the details are complete. Details like chrome-plated and stainless steel fasteners from Gardner Westcott. Why don't you call us today and get a free catalog? We ship the orders directly to you, and your order's never too small. Gardner Westcott, with just what you need to hold your act together beautifully.
There's been tremendous response to our premiere issue of Cruzin magazine, and we thank you. We're filling orders fast. Here's what you'll discover between our covers. Hot rod legend Dick Page and his personal glimpses of 32 years in the business. Cruzin magazine's regular columns like performance pointers and products. Event calendars. Color photo sections, plus biographies of street riding personalities. To receive your subscription to Cruzin magazine, 12 issues of the Street Machine magazine, simply send $18 in the U.S., $28 for all you Canadian routers, Check or money order to Cruzin magazine. Post Office Box 774, Freeland, Washington, 98249. That's Cruzin magazine, Post Office Box 774, Freeland, Washington, 98249 for Cruzin magazine.
Yes, Dick Page is underneath here doing the next edition of Cruising Northwest.
The car you're seeing on the screen now, folks, is Gene and Betty Berglund's car. This is a 294-mile-an-hour car, runs on the Bonneville Salt Flats, and believe it or not, this is a Datsun B210. The car is usually driven by Betty Berglund, Gene's wife. The car is built in Great Falls, Montana. You think it's rough building a car in downtown LA, you ought to try it in some place like Great Falls, Montana. Talk about a parts shortage. Anyway, in a future show, we're going to have an interview with Gene and Betty Berglund. Everybody here was a winner, especially the Kitsap County Food Bank. But let's check it out, see who got the trophies.
Gerald Dodds with the F100 and the Easter Bunny.
For the Best Truck Award.
Beautiful burgundy and white 56 Chev, Dan Paris.
Won the Best Street Machine.
Jim Hart is the winner of the Custom Division with this blue Merc over here. Good job, Jim. All right.
Won the Best Custom.
This goes to the 57 T-Bird of Bill Fisher, the little pink one back there.
Best Paint Award.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
First place display in $100 goes to Bob Conley and a 58 Corvette. So, if they want to come up here, they can.
And this one was shared by the Early Irons and the Roadsters Northwest. They shared $100 apiece.
What do you guys think of the car show? Great!
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
People's Choice, and that's Dick Grover's Candy Apple Red 36 Ford over here with the flathead motor. Because after all, that's what really car shows are about, is the displays, and people just love them.
Well, Ron, that's it.
Yeah. Man, just a blowout, Dick. Just a blowout.
A lot of happy recipients. A lot of people got some awards. So we're going to try it again next year, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the bills are paid. The management of the pavilion's happy. The old-timers are just tickled to death. We're going to be able to, do some money into the charities like we've done before, help out the needy families. Quite a pile of food on the floor down there. And for those of you that don't know, we offer a reduced admission price at the Oldtimers events for people that bring food for the Kitsap County Food Bank. And that went well this year also, didn't it? Real well. Our mountain of food is just getting up there, and the food bank people are going to come in tomorrow morning and box it all up for us, Central Kitsap Food Bank, and it's going to make a lot of people's Easters real nice.
The Oldtimers also donate actual cash to that event.
That's right, and also Port Orchard Lions Club, I want to get a plug in. They just did a fantastic job taking care of the gate for us and taking tickets and helping us out, and we'll make a donation to their club. So it's been real good. Everybody has just pooped.
Well, that's it. Another successful event for the Oldtimers at the new Kitsap County Pavilion. We're going to do it again next year, and for this week, that's Cruzin Northwest, and we'll see you again next week, same time, same station, for more Cruzin Northwest. Thanks again, Ron. Thanks, everybody.
Promotional consideration provided by J.D. Birds at 6th and Sprague in Tacoma. Chicken prepared the way it should be. Low fat and cholesterol free. Get the good bird at J.D. Birds. Cruzin Northwest is brought to you in part by Walker Chevrolet, the home of the heartbeat of America. See it at 633 Division Avenue on the Park in Tacoma.